Don Corleone. Don Corleone, please.
It's good, huh? It's good.
Godfather was a very appreciated movie when we were making it.
I was a young director. I hadn't really done a lot of work, and even in the early weeks of the production, I knew that they were not happy with what I had done.
I was always really on the verge of getting fired, so it was an extremely nightmarish experience. You know, I had 2 little kids, and a third one was born during that, and we lived in a little apartment, and I was basically frightened that they didn't like it.
The man in charge of production didn't feel Coppola was competent. And it was true that someone was being warmed up in the wings to substitute for Francis.
Francis had to fight every day to get his vision on the screen. It didn't come easy.
It had been a very difficult time to try to convince the studio that my notions about casting were right.
The Godfather casting, especially for the character of Vito Corleone, was difficult because he was meant to be an older, really Italian-American person because the story was set in New York. And so when we looked at the various actors who could play the part, there really weren't any that we felt had the charisma or the mystery that could do it. So I concluded, who are the 2 greatest actors in the world who are vaguely the age to play it? And we concluded, well, there was Laurence Olivier and there was Marlon Brando. Laurence Olivier was British with a British accent and was actually quite ill. Marlon Brando was only 47, but Marlon Brando had another problem. So the studio felt that Brando was supposedly difficult to work with, sort of irresponsible, would cause big delays. The film was only budgeted for $2.5 million, you have to understand. It wasn't like we could throw money around. And his last few pictures had been big flops. It was a film called Quemada. It had done terribly.
And the guy who was then the president said, as president of Paramount Pictures, these are his exact words, as president of Paramount Pictures, Marlon Brando will never appear in this motion picture.
Well, at that point, I remember I just fell off the chair and lay on the rug and say, well, if I can't even pursue the few ideas I have, what do you expect of me? So they said, all right. We'll give you 3 conditions for Brando to be in the picture. Number 1, he must do a screen test. Number 2, he must put up a $1 million bond that none of his behavior problems will cause delays on the production. And number 3, he must do the film for nothing.
Brando knew that the studio didn't want it. He knew that, and he was a very proud man. And he always said, I'll never audition for a role. But he did end up auditioning for this role. And how did that come about?
I called up the house that I was given to speak to Marlon Brando, and I said, basically, Mr. Brando, this character is in Italian. Maybe you'd like to experiment a little to see if you can play. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we can see how I would do it. He didn't know he was doing a screen test. He just was experimenting.
He changed his looks completely. He changed his jawline by putting Kleenex in his mouth.
And we were just shooting, and he started to take his hair and put shoe polish on. He says, he's like a bulldog. He puts so much on. I want to have,
And he even said, oh, maybe his voice should be very hoarse because he's shot in the story in the throat. He was talking like this.
And as a reasonable man, I'm willing to do whatever's necessary to find a peaceful solution to these problems.
They're not saying anything. And meanwhile, we were photographing this. So he reached down and took a little of the cheese and nibbled, and he took the little cigar, and he didn't light it, but he kept going. And right in front of my eyes, he transformed himself into this character. I took this tape, and I didn't know what to do with it. So rather than show it to the president of Paramount Pictures, I decided to go to New York and show it to the chairman and the owner of Paramount. I said, well, look at this. And I turned on the tape recorder, and there is Marlon Brando with this long blonde hair rolling it up. And Charlie Bluthorn said, no, absolutely not.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
And as he watched and saw this transformation, he said, that's incredible. That's incredible. And as of that moment, I knew that I had Brando in the part. And of course, they didn't make him do a bond for his behavior, and they didn't pay him very much. But in fact, he got the part, and of course, Brando, to this day, is thought of for that role.
Now we come to the role of Michael. This is a saga in itself. My research says that Bob Evans did not want Al Pacino.
They didn't want Al Pacino. Al Pacino was a midget.
He's very short, and he was very inexperienced in their opinion.
Unknown, low-key actor appearing in the pivotal role in a major motion picture was not what Bob Evans wanted.
The studio had Robert Redford in mind. In fact, if you read the book, Michael looks like Robert Redford.
So the studio didn't want you to cast Al Pacino in the role of Michael Corleone. So how did you win that one?
Well, the problem is that when I had known Al a little bit before, so when I read the Godfather book, as I had him pictured in my mind, I saw him walking through Sicily with the two shepherds with their shotguns, and I couldn't get that out of my mind. I couldn't see Bob Redford, but I saw Al Pacino, and I just wouldn't give up on him.
About that particular time, I was young, I was inexperienced, I had no idea what was in store for me. This guy, Francis Ford Coppola, saw me on stage in New York and just sort of liked me.
He saw me in a play and he wanted me to be in in a movie he wrote about a college professor and stuff. And it was a beautiful movie.
So I went to San Francisco to meet with whoever was going to produce the movie and Francis. And we got to know each other. He had a place called Zoetrope, where all those directors were George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Brian De Palma. They were all in this group in the late 60s.
And I was just there as the actor who came from New York, but it never got off the ground. And Warner Brothers was going to do it. And they kept wondering, what do you do with this kid, meaning me? Why do you want to use this kid in your movie? He says, well, I see him in the role. He said, but what is he? He's never done anything. I never was wanted. I do remember that about growing up. I was never sort of wanted.
Anyway, I went back and I just had my life in New York City.
And so a year later, this young guy calls me again out of the blue.
And I pick up the phone. I said, hi. He says, hi, it's Francis. I said, oh, Francis. Wow. I mean, it's been a year. You know how those things are. And he said, I'm doing The Godfather.
I said, Francis, that's amazing. I mean, the first thing I thought, and I'll be honest with you, I thought Paramount's very smart to give this movie to this guy. I just felt his genius when I was in San Francisco. I knew he had something extra. And by the way, I'd like you to play Michael.
I thought, what am I going to do? He wants me, so I called my grandmother. I said, I think I'm going to be in The Godfather. Oh, yeah, that book, yeah. She didn't read it, but she had this thing about new. And she says, yeah, Granddad, my grandfather, was born in Corleone.
You'd never heard that?
I never heard it in my entire life. He was born there. So I thought, this is getting crazy, isn't it?
Right, now it's interesting. It just got interesting, right.
Yeah, it just got interesting.
But still, nobody else wanted you. No one except Francis.
Yeah, just Francis.
At that moment, from that moment on, started this long process that went on. Hundreds of thousands of dollars they spent in those days for screen tests, and everybody was screen testing, everybody.
Bobby Duvall, Al Pacino, and myself flew up to San Francisco, the Zoetrope. Eleanor, his wife, cut our hair, put a bowl over her head, cut our head, and with a 16mm camera, we improvised and did some stuff.
But if your father dies, make the deal. It's easy for you to say he's not your father. Wait a minute, it's easy for you to say it's not your father. It's easy for you to say it ain't your father. Fuck you and your asshole. Very nice, Jim.
Thank you.
Luca Brasi held a revolver against Hallie's head, and my father told Hallie that either his signature or his brains would be on the contract.
Michael, why are all these people bothering your father on a day like this?
Oh, that's because they know that no Sicilian can refuse any request.
For some reason, they were not happy with Al's test.
But I knew Francis wanted out.
Don Corleone. Don Corleone, please.
Hey, it's good, huh? It's good.
I was aware that they didn't want me. But at the same time, I even said to him, please, Francis, it's okay. We'll work again. There's other things to do, you know. I mean, I don't want to be where I'm not wanted anyway. You know, it's a kind of awful feeling. He said, no, I want you.
You see, I'm not saying there's Sonny, you know, and saying Sonny, you know, or Freddie, come here. I'd like you to meet. I'm not doing that.
How far to go? So he does it in this very indirect way. He doesn't say, look, my father is a criminal, a gangster who has been shot, and he kind of tells her little anecdotes. And at first, it's nice. Even when it's lighter, it's fine. But the scene is a serious scene.
Nothing could happen. Nothing would happen. They didn't want me. That was it.
One night I got a call from Francis. He was in New York, and he said, Jimmy, and I could tell from his voice this was not his idea. Jimmy, they want you to play Michael.
Michael? Why are all those people bothering your father on a day like this?
Well, that's because they know no Sicilian can refuse a request on his daughter's wedding day.
Oh, good.
I don't think we can name an actor that wasn't there.
They tried to kill him, my father. They did. They nearly did. Mr. Brazzi went after them. And so the story goes...
The story goes that he killed 6 men in 2 weeks.
He killed 6 men in 2 weeks.
And Diane said, I said to Diane, which one do you want? She said, Al.
You don't want me to marry you. That's very clever, but it's not going to work.
Okay. It kept happening a lot. And it was countless. They went on and on.
They don't want you, but they're trying everybody. They're throwing everybody in there. But Francis Ford Coppola sticks with you.
Then we finally got to shoot. They accepted because Jerry Schatzberg, my great friend and director, gave him 8 minutes from Panic in Needle Park. Another movie I'd done with Jerry Schatzberg. It's a nice movie, yeah.
I was the Babe Ruth of West 81st Street. That's right. I hit that ball. I hit the ball on the roof one time, right? I went up to get it. There was this crap game going on, right? I won $79 before my next turn at bat. Huh? I'm the greatest!
And they said, okay, I think he can do it. It's possible, maybe. Judging from the 8 minutes, he can walk and talk at the same time, so maybe he can do it. They hired me. And then they didn't want me after they hired me. Did I say that at all? Yeah. I was filming for a couple of weeks, and of course, they were telling Francis, this is your fault. We're going to fire you for hiring him. And I thought, well, what am I doing? You know. And while we were filming, Francis was, you know, concerned. Again, I was new to films. I didn't know what to do. While we were shooting, there were hints coming back to me that I wasn't wanted. And with more than hints, people were actually, you know, giggling when I go on camera. And the studio kept seeing this footage coming back, and they said, well, he sort of, you know, he seems dull. I was out. Francis said, listen, you know, I believe in you and all this, but you got to take a look at the footage. So I went to the Paramount building and looked at the footage because I knew this is it. My job is over now. And I watched the footage, which I didn't think was good, great or anything, but it wasn't really bad because it was what I was thinking about in this role. I had given a lot of thought to this part because she had to. It's a certain kind of role. And I thought the power of the role was in the transition from this kid you don't quite know who he is, where he's going. And then before you know it, he becomes this leader and without tracking it.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
And then he did what is the most brilliant thing anybody could do. He actually changed the schedule. He took the Sollozzo scene where Michael shoots this Sollozzo and the captain, and he put it up front. It wasn't scheduled for that day because the studio was done with me. I was gone. And he showed him the Sollozzo scene, and they kept me. This is what Pacino can do.
It was also the scene that prevented Francis from actually being fired off the film. But when that scene was seen by the head of the corporation, then all the pressure that was on Francis disappeared.
In 1972, Francis Ford Coppola's mafia epic, The Godfather, was released. It broke box office records, won huge critical acclaim, and helped revive the ailing Hollywood studio system.
The Godfather's become part of the popular culture now. It was more than just a movie.
It changed the way pictures looked. It changed the way pictures were cast. It was a seminal moment.
The Godfather launched the career of director Francis Ford Coppola and relaunched the flagging career of screen icon Marlon Brando.
This is a quote from Francis Ford Coppola. The things you do when you're young that you get fired for are the same things that years later they give you lifetime achievement. You know, none of us were fired from The Godfather, but some of us got pretty close. I got the closest, yes. And Francis just fought for us all the time. I am eternally grateful and honored to be part of your Godfather family.
We're all here tonight because of you. We love you. Salute.